You're not tired because you work too hard. You're tired because you keep doing things that have quietly stopped making sense. And somewhere between your morning routine and the 43rd scroll of the day, part of you already knows that. It just hasn't said it out loud yet. What I'm about to walk you through isn't motivation. It's not a 5-step framework. It's not a list of habits successful people do before 6 a.m. It's something quieter than that, and because of that, it's going to hit harder. Stay with me. Part 1. The weight of almost. There's a specific kind of exhaustion nobody talks about. Not the kind that comes from overwork, not burnout, not the exhaustion that sleep fixes. It's the exhaustion of almost. Almost saying what you actually think. Almost starting the thing you keep putting off. Almost making the change you've been rehearsing in your head for 6 months. Almost leaving. Almost staying. Almost choosing yourself, then choosing something safer instead. That kind of exhaustion doesn't show up on your face. It doesn't call in sick for you. It just quietly drains you from the inside while you continue to show up, perform, function, and wonder why you feel so hollow doing all the right things. Here's what nobody explains. The cost of almost is not obvious. It doesn't send a bill. It doesn't arrive with consequences you can point to. It arrives slowly, disguised as a personality trait. You start calling yourself a procrastinator, a people pleaser, someone who overthinks. But that's not who you are. That's what happens when you live in the gap between what you sense and what you do. Most people never identify this gap. Not because they're not intelligent, but because the gap is invisible while you're standing inside it. Part 2. The signal you keep dismissing. Think about the last time something felt off. Not wrong, not broken, just slightly misaligned. Like a car tire that's losing air so slowly you don't notice the drag until you're already struggling to steer. You probably felt something. A hesitation before you agreed. A tightness in your chest before you replied. A quiet voice before you repeated a pattern you told yourself you'd stopped. You noticed it, and then you did the thing most people do. You explained it away. You told yourself it was just a mood, just stress, just the season you're in. And then you kept moving, because stopping felt like it would cost more than continuing. But here's the thing about signals. They don't disappear when you ignore them. They repeat. And every time they repeat without a response, they get quieter, not because the problem is resolving, but because you're getting better at not hearing it. That's not peace. That's adaptation. There's a difference between genuinely resolving something and simply adjusting to it. Resolving sounds like relief. Adjusting sounds like silence. Most people spend years mistaking one for the other. Right now, your mind is scanning, quietly, automatically, matching what you're hearing with something specific in your own life. That recognition, that slight shift in your chest, that's not anxiety, that's awareness activating. And awareness, once it arrives, cannot fully be put back to sleep. Part 3. What repetition actually costs. There's a question worth sitting with. How many times have you started the same sentence in your head and then stopped yourself? I should really address this. I need to change this. I can't keep doing this. Something has to shift. And then the thought passed. The moment moved. The day continued. And nothing changed except that the thought got a little harder to dismiss the next time it came. This is what repetition actually costs. Not time, not energy, trust. Every time you register a signal and override it, you teach yourself quietly, incrementally, that your inner voice isn't worth responding to, that it's background noise, that it'll wait, and eventually, it does wait. But you pay a price for that delay that doesn't show up on any ledger. You pay it in hesitation, in the second guessing that shows up before decisions that shouldn't be difficult, in the way you lose confidence in your own perception, in the creeping sense that everyone else seems certain about their direction while you're still standing at the starting line, retying your shoes for the 100th time. That's not a character flaw. That's a communication breakdown between what you sense and what you act on. And like any breakdown, it can be repaired, but only if you stop pretending it isn't there. Part 4. The myth of readiness. Here's the lie most people build their lives around. They believe they need to feel ready before they begin. Ready to have the conversation. Ready to make the change. Ready to take the risk. Set the boundary. Start the chapter. Say the thing. Ready, ready, ready. As if readiness is a destination you arrive at before you move. But readiness doesn't work that way. Readiness is not a prerequisite for action. It's a byproduct of it. Think about learning to drive. You don't sit in a classroom until you're ready. You get in the car nervous, unsure, slightly terrified, and understanding finds you in motion. Think about public speaking. confidence doesn't show up before the first sentence. The first sentence creates the conditions for confidence to follow. Movement teaches the mind what thinking never can. And the people who consistently move before they feel ready are not braver than you. They've simply learned, usually through failure, that waiting for certainty is just postponement dressed in reasonable clothing. The moment you act while still unsure, genuinely unsure, not performing uncertainty, is the exact moment you step outside the loop that's been holding you in place. Not because the action was perfect, because the decision to act was real. Part 5. What's actually happening beneath the surface? Your life right now is moving in a direction, not randomly, not by accident. Direction is always being shaped by what you repeat, what you allow, and what you keep choosing not to address. Consider a ship. If a navigator adjusts the heading by just 2 degrees, no one on board notices in the first hour. The ocean looks the same, the rhythm feels the same, but over 1,000 miles, that 2-degree shift puts you in a completely different country. The change was invisible in the moment, inevitable over time. Your patterns work the same way. The conversations you keep avoiding, the standard you keep tolerating, the version of yourself you keep promising to become next month, next year, once things calm down. None of these feel dramatic in the moment, but compound them and 5 years from now, you look back and cannot identify when exactly things shifted. You only feel the distance between where you are and where you meant to be. The people who avoid that feeling are not the ones who made big dramatic decisions. They're the ones who noticed the 2-degree drift early and corrected it before it became a continent. Part 6. The one thing that changes everything. There's a specific kind of moment, quiet, easy to miss, that separates the people who eventually look back with clarity from the ones who look back with regret. It's not a breakthrough, not a revelation, not some electric moment where the path suddenly becomes obvious. It's a single, small, deliberate interruption to the pattern, the message they finally sent instead of drafting and deleting, the boundary they finally named instead of hinting at, the choice they finally made for themselves instead of for the version of themselves that other people were comfortable with. From the outside, those moments look like nothing. The person who sends the message doesn't look transformed. The person who sets the boundary doesn't look like they just changed their trajectory. But internally, something shifts. Not motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Not excitement. Excitement fades. Something more structural. Something like alignment. Alignment is the feeling of your actions matching your awareness. It's quiet. It's almost anticlimactic. It doesn't arrive with fanfare. But once it does, once you experience the difference between performing a version of your life and actually living it, you cannot unknow it. And here's what matters. You're closer to one of those moments than you think. Not because something dramatic is about to happen, but because this kind of awareness, the kind that makes you sit with something instead of scrolling past it, is itself the first domino. Years from now, you're going to look back at a specific moment that changed your direction. Most people expect that moment to feel significant when it happens. They expect weight, drama, some internal announcement that this is the turning point. It won't feel like that. It will feel ordinary, manageable, almost too simple to take seriously. And that's exactly why most people walk past it. The ones who don't, the ones who stop, even briefly, and actually respond to what they sense are not special. They're not more disciplined. They're not better built for this. They've just learned one thing that changes everything, that the quiet moments are where the real decisions happen, not in the dramatic ones, in the ones that look like nothing. So if something in this video names something you've been carrying, something you've been almost addressing, almost admitting, almost acting on, don't let this be another moment you explain away. You don't need to overhaul your life today. You just need to do one thing differently than you did yesterday. Send it, say it, start it, stop it. One action, chosen consciously, in the next 24 hours. Because the direction of your life is not built in the moments you plan for. It's built in moments exactly like this one. If this found you at the right time, if something in here landed the way it was meant to, stay close to this channel. Not for motivation, not for hype. For this, the kind of clarity that arrives quietly, says exactly what you needed to hear, and then trusts you to do something with it. Because sometimes the most important thing isn't new information. It's the right sentence, at the right moment, finally heard.